Hello, true believers. Welcome to the Comic Book Club. I'm your host, Jamil Payne, and with me, as always, is Amanda Comey. How are you doing, Amanda?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
It's early.
It is early. It's early for both of us today.
Yes, it is, because I got sleep. I went to go see some Native Americans yesterday. That was fun,
That's right. You said you went to a powwow.
Yeah, my in-laws are, like, half Native American. So, like, so for the first time ever, I actually went to a powwow. And it's basically like a big old party they have in the middle of a field. That's more or less what it is. You go to a park, people are selling stuff. They have a big circle and people do like the, Indian, traditional dance and like the full garb. I don't think we're supposed to be calling them Indians anymore, but I still do. So, but yeah, that's.
Do you know, like, specifically, I don't know, like, what tribe or, like, what peoples they were? So you can offset, you can call them Indians if you know exactly what kind they were.
Well, I know my in-laws and my wife and my, technically my son, I guess, are Nez Perce, Indians.
Cool.
And I think in Georgia, I think most of them are Cherokee. I think most Indians here are Cherokee. But they also had some Aztec dancers, which was really cool.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah, so they said it was a smaller one. Usually they said they're way bigger. But I took Saturday off to go because I have a regular job and I've worked every Saturday for like the last 5 years, so I never had a chance to go before yesterday.
Well, it's really cool that you could make that a priority.
Yeah, it was cool. It was just like, man, one thing that was really weird was there was a couple of people selling like Confederate flag stuff, and I found that really weird at a Native American powwow. But what the fuck do I know, right?
I mean, where else are you going to get the flags to destroy when you're angry at things later, right?
Yeah, right. And there was a couple of people wearing like Confederate flag shirts, and my whole time I'm thinking to myself, I should have really worn like a Black Lives Matter shirt. Like, I really should have worn one, cause I live in Georgia, and like I live in the city, so it's more crowded here, and there's a lot. And like I don't know if you know this about Atlanta, there's a lot of black people in Atlanta, like a lot of black people. So like when I hear about racism, I ain't really experienced it like too strong, despite living in the South, because I live in a city that's that's like 60% black. But once you go out there to those outskirts, because that's where they usually hold power. That's usually where they hold powwows, like in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
And my grandparents lived in Georgia, and I thought I remembered hearing something about how, like, Georgia's one of those states where you can bring your gun with you to church.
Again, I live in the city. I've never
right, but I just felt like that thought, even if that's not true, the fact that that's plausible in my head to describe rural Georgia as opposed to the very nice Delta airport that I've been to.
Well, look, again,
I'm sorry, I haven't been outside the airport in Atlanta.
No, the city is real nice. The thing about this city is the reason our teams are so terrible a lot of times is because, fun fact, Atlanta is a party city, and it's really hard to focus when you play sports here. When your city is like the gayest place in the world. At one point, Atlanta was like the gayest place in the world. At one point. Because there's a lot of gay people here, so that's cool. Also, it's one of the gayest places in the world. It's also considered the strip club capital of the world. So when athletes come here, all that money, they tend to lose their mind and tend to be really bad at sports until they either go to another team and all of a sudden they're good again. Because it's hard to focus here. It's really hard to focus here.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I had this picture in my head of Atlanta as a potential hotbed of debauchery. It's like Tatooine.
Well, again, this is like the cradle of hip hop right now, and it has been for the last 15 years. I tell you like this, Yeah, I'm leaving this in the show. There's a famous strip club here, right? Called Magic City.
I'm putting this down. Oh, did they stop there in Magic Mike? In the second one, they did a road trip, and maybe they stopped there.
I don't know. I've never seen Magic Mike. And like there's this famous strip club called Magic City. It was real famous. It's in all the rap videos, right? And I lie to you not, it's such a cliche, cause right across the street from Magic City is a Greyhound bus station. So all the wayward girls that's like 19, 18, 20 years old that done ran away from like they small town or whatever, they have a job right there. Like it's such a cliche. It's really weird. Like every time I have to go to that Greyhound station, I laugh at this. Like how it's almost like it's on purpose. Like like you can hop off the bus, small town girl, and your job is right there waiting for you.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, okay, so that's enough Atlanta talk.
Yeah, enough. Speaking of distractions, there was some more distractions for us comic book fans this weekend, right?
Good segue. I like how you made something into another segue into a segue. Yeah, it's New York Comic Con.
The strip club of the comic book news cycle, right?
You know what? It is in a way. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, New York Comic Con is I like to call like well, it's not as big as San Diego Comic Con, even though they try to pretend like it is. It's almost like they're in denial, but no. It's really big. It's a lot of news coming. I feel like they save a lot of the comic news for New York Comic Con as opposed to San Diego Comic Con. I feel like San Diego is more movie focused. I feel like New York Comic Con is more comic focused. At least that's how I perceive it anyway.
Yeah, I would say the same. Have you ever been to New York Comic Con?
No.
Okay.
No, I just went to New York for the first time this February, so.
Okay.
But one day, I'm planning on going. Maybe we should have a meetup, because you like in Maryland, right? That's like 4 hours away.
Yeah. We did it once. It was super intense. I think the thing that surprised me most about New York Comic Con compared to other conventions I'd been to was if you wanted to go to like the panel discussion that started at 2:00, you had to get there at like 12:30 to line up to wait for it. So like you couldn't go to two panels in a row. Sorry.
No,
because you had to like be waiting in line. And they would like fill up. Like every single panel was standing room only, like occupancy limit. They had people stationed at like every door to make sure it didn't get too full. And I was more accustomed to like Baltimore and Philadelphia, where aside from like the main panel, all of the other discussions you can they're a good spot to sit down and have a snack. If you're just looking for something to do to get off your feet. So I was surprised that there was like literally nowhere you could go or hide or get away from the crowds. Even the discussion panel that sounded like the most boring thing ever. You know, like how to make comics about brushing your teeth. Even that would have had a line waiting for it like an hour ahead of time.
Well, that's better than San Diego, where I hear sometimes you have to like line up the night before to get into a panel. But that's usually for the movie stuff, so that's a little different.
Right, like I would line up the night before for Tom Hiddleston, right? I'm not going to line up the night before for I don't know. I can't even think of is there a comic book? This is a great question. Is there any comic book creator that you would like wait in line all day for?
Alan fucking Moore. and that's about it.
Okay. Yes.
Just,
There we go.
just because he's like batshit crazy, like just like I have to see what this man says in like person.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm upset with Marvel that Tom Hiddleston and Benedict Cumberbatch only got one scene together in all of Marvel. I'm really upset with that. Like, that's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. I mean, there are not two men nerd women love more than Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hiddleston.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. I just hate admitting it out loud.
And like they had like a very similar audience, you know what I'm saying? They have a very similar fan base. And I'm just like, they had one scene.
But see, I would be fine with just like the blooper reel from that scene, because I know that that's like a very me thing, and I don't need it to be the entire movie. Because when they make entire movies for me, what we get are the new Star Trek franchise, and that's not doing so hot.
Which is funny because you're an old Trekkie. You would think.
Yes, it's possible to like both.
I know. I like both too. I'm giving you shit. Yeah.
It's just sort of like the pizza argument, where I'm like, yes, this thing that Chicago is handing me right now is delicious, but I'm not going to call it pizza.
You know what? You just like the new Star Trek because everybody's pretty in it. That's really why you like it.
Yes. You asked me to watch the Daredevil trailer.
Right.
So that just seems like they're trying to turn everything up. Like they're like, it's going to be darker. It's going to be more morally ambiguous. It's going to be more. Also, we heard you liked that Kingpin guy. I only watched like the first few episodes of the first season.
Blasphemy. No, go ahead.
And literally, like, I was just like, can I just watch like the Kingpin show? I was like, this Wilson Fisk, right?
Yeah.
I was like, he is amazing. I'm like, I want all of that. I'm like, I don't care about this Daredevil guy.
You know what? I'm not disagreeing with you, but I do like Daredevil also. You see, my thing is, and I get in this argument all the time, is, in that first season, he doesn't get the red suit until the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I personally prefer the all-black ninja suit over, like, the actual Daredevil suit. So I'm happy that in that trailer they're going back to that.
Mm-hmm.
That they're going back to, like, that all-black suit. Because, like, that Daredevil suit
looks
kind of ridiculous in this world that's supposed to be slightly real. That's all I'm saying. It was really weird.
No, that's a fair observation.
Also, Bullseye is in that trailer, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I did not watch the Bullseye one. I watched the longer one.
Well, no. The dude at the end when he was like, "I'm Daredevil," and there's two Daredevils. I'm like, oh, that's Bullseye.
Okay.
Like before they confirmed it, like 2 days later, I knew that was Bullseye, because Bullseye is the only person that could possibly like impersonate Daredevil to a convincing degree. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like, oh, that's Bullseye. And I've been waiting for Bullseye. They killed Elektra without Bullseye a couple of seasons ago, and I was really upset that they did that without him.
Wow, spoilers. Now I'm never going to watch it.
Yeah, or like you was going to watch it anyway.
I don't really mind spoilers.
I do, but I just assumed you didn't care. I work with this guy.
Well, I mean, also it's been a couple of years. Like, it's not.
Yeah, it has to be a rule, right? Like, if it's been 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's certain things I still won't ruin. Like, I won't ruin the end of The Usual Suspects. Mm-hmm. If you've never seen Star Wars, I may not ruin that for you. Like,
yeah, but if you've never seen Star Wars, you're going to last about an hour before I tie you down to a chair and force you to watch them. So, right. Spoilers would be the least of my crimes.
You've never seen Star Wars? How dare you? Just make sure, you know what? Just if you're tying people down, you want to torture them. You should make them watch the prequels
Oh,
first.
believe me. We would go in numerical order.
Oh God, why would you do that to somebody?
No, we.
But anyway, yeah. So you see the Aquaman trailer.
Yes.
And what do you have to say about it?
Okay, so I'm getting a little bit more of like, oh gosh, I feel like this is like a risky stance to take. I kind of got like a Brandon Fraser the Mummy vibe.
A little bit, yeah.
In like a good way.
You know what? I agree with you. I've never wow, that's absolutely true.
Like, I kind of think if you are okay with the camp, it'll be a fun ride.
And it looks amazing. Like I want to make that clear. This movie looks amazing. It's clear James Wan didn't get the whole it's James Wan, right? Didn't get the whole like memo about dark and gritty. Cause this shit is bright and colorful as you can possibly get. Plus, battle sharks and battle seahorses.
Battle sharks
and battle seahorses. It's just like, wow, this looks good. Look, I'm gonna tell you, the moment Black Manta jumps out the water, he doesn't even look real. Like, well, it's probably not, but like I don't even mean like he doesn't look real as in it looks CG. It's like, it's such a cool design to see in live action, and like it almost made me feel the way the first time I seen the Ninja Turtles in live action, right? It's like, I can't believe they're doing this, and it works. Like, I can't believe, like he looks amazing. Like, I was not expecting that, like, Black Manta to look that good. It almost like he jumped out of the comic book into real life. Then that ending shot with Jason Momoa in the traditional Aquaman uniform.
Yeah.
That Aquaman, I can't believe I'm saying this. People have been picking on that uniform for years. That might be the best uniform in the DCEU. Straight up. That shit looks amazing.
I'll give you like second best, maybe.
Behind who?
Wonder Woman?
Okay. Look, the thing about Wonder Woman is that, like...
But no one's ever been like, Wonder Woman's costume sucks.
Exactly.
So I understand that coming from an underdog position, it's a little bit... It's more impressive.
Like, they make that shit work. They make that orange and green color scheme work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks good. Look, that, the Bumblebee movie, and Mary Poppins all comes out the same day. Aquaman was third on my list to see. I think it might jump to the top.
Is that all Christmas time this year?
December 21st.
Ooh, yeah, okay. I am making holiday plans right now, and they involve telling one family that I'm seeing the other family, and then telling that family I'm seeing the other family, so no one expects me to show up.
And what you gonna go do? You gonna have a 3-movie marathon?
Yep. Yep. We're just gonna go to the movies all weekend. Speaking
of which, that Bumblebee movie, it looks so good because it plays on like nerves, like worst, like impulses. Like, oh, you want original designs? We're gonna give you all the original designs, and we're gonna set it in the 80s. And that's exactly what they did. And like, you know what? Ain't seen a Transformer movie in 7 years. I'm going to see this Transformer movie because Bumblebee looks like Bumblebee, Soundwave looks like Soundwave, and Starscream looks like Starscream. Amanda, you got to stop with these long pauses.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just trying to, like, put these on my calendar right now so that people see I'm busy. Right. So when my mother-in-law's family finds out that the reason I'm not going to their annual costume Christmas party, they'll find out that it's because I'm gonna go see the Bumblebee movie.
Okay, I think we had enough digression. We had some more things on the docket, but you know what? I think it's time to get into our actual discussion because it's 9:00.
Yeah, it is.
All right, people. We are discussing Ex Machina. Ex Machina is a comic written by Brian K. Vaughan, published by Wildstorm Comics, a subsidiary of DC. It ran from 2004 to 2010, producing 50 issues and 4 specials. It won the Eisner Award in 2005 for Best New Series, and we are discussing the first 11 issues. This tells the story. This tells the alternate history story of Mitchell Hundred, the one-time superhero and newly elected mayor of New York City. He wins after he saves one of the World Trade Center towers in the 9/11 attacks. And this is about basically his time as mayor. So, Amanda, what did you think of Ex Machina?
Okay. So, I still really enjoy reading Brian K. Vaughan's books.
Uh-huh.
I did not feel this one.
Oh, really?
Now, part of it is I feel like there's 2 things that felt a little bit, so I said last time that I feel like somehow Brian K. Vaughan, like, focus groups his books. Like, he's almost able to sort of, like, pick out, like, from a marketing standpoint, like, what are the points I need to hit in order to get this book to be really popular. And I feel like it's just getting more and more obvious to me as I read more of his books. And I resent it a little bit more every time the same tricks work. And so the 2 things that drove me crazy about this was, one is I have read all of Transmetropolitan, like, twice.
That's Warren Ellis, correct?
That's Warren Ellis, and that wrapped up, like, probably the last issue of that probably came out, like, the month before this book was pitched. So a weird political, you know, alternate New York City graphic novel had just finished, like, a really, really great run. And, you know, it's clear, like, oh, this book is ending, like, maybe I could do something to get all of those people. You know, like, if you were pulling Transmetropolitan and suddenly that ends, and you'd be like, oh, Brian K. Vaughan's starting a new book that's like it, you could just get all those readers.
You think so, really?
I don't think, okay, so I don't know that it was, like, quite that planned out, but when you look and you see that, like, there's a popular, like, political satire graphic novel, and then you go, oh, well, I've got an idea for one. I don't know. So one of the things that bothers me is that I feel like Transmet was better. I feel like Derek Robertson's art blows away almost everything. This art was just fine. So that kind of bothers me, is that I feel like this falls into the shadow because they're both very early 2000s, isn't that quaint political satire, like back when we thought, like, our political problems wouldn't be so blatantly obvious.
Terrible?
Yes.
Because all things are terrible all the time?
Yeah. Back when we thought that unraveling and discovering corruption would be, like, a little bit like a mystery rather than just, like, shoved in your face.
And a bit fun and kind of a romp, but no.
Yeah. The other thing that bothers me a little bit is how close this revisionist history is to, like, real time, meaning, like, you know, September 11th happens, and then, like, a year later, this book was pitched. And I feel like that's a little, to me, exploitative of, like, real tragedy. Like, something that Brian K. Vaughan does in all of his books is he makes characters you like, and then he kills them. And that makes you feel things. And then because you feel something, you think that the book is good. That is fine. What I don't like is him not even bothering to make characters you like and just exploiting real people who died that you liked to make you feel something.
I can understand that. All right.
Yeah, so that sits really weird with me. Like, I'm like, you couldn't even bother to make up characters for me to feel sorry for. You just are like, hey, remember this thing that you actually felt terrible about? I'm just going to make you feel that again, and then you're going to think that this book is amazing because I had the balls to do that. And I feel like if this came out now, it wouldn't, like, reading it now, it might be a little bit different. But, I mean, seriously, this book would have been, I don't know, it came out. Well, actually, I have notes in the back of mine. Yeah, so I have the proposal notes in the back of the.
Yeah, it's back there. Yeah.
And it even says 2002, October 2002 was when he delivered the pitch. That's a year.
I like to think, you know, maybe it's one of those cases where, like, it happened, right, and it's terrible, and all of a sudden he had a really good idea, and he was
no, I'm sure that's it. It's just I hate that, like, I can look at it the other way.
And he was just like, shit, and look, he probably wrestled with the same, like, in my opinion, like, in my thought, he probably wrestled with the same thing as, like, should I wait on this? Then he was just like, fuck, if I don't do it, somebody else will. No, you know what? I think this is the first descent that the first real descent I think we have, because I thought it was going to be on Runaways, but we end up agreeing. But
well, we both ended up agreeing that Runaways was good, but not like the, you know, like, perfect thing that it's held up to be. I think we both felt like, you know, you were on the lower end of good and I was on the higher end of good. But this I'm like, no, I'm just like, oh, I'm like, this book sounds interesting to you. Here, I have like 5 other books I would recommend you read before you get to this one.
Right, okay.
Like Nightly News, or, like I said, Transmet, or, hell, even, because Brian K. Vaughan does a lot of, like, political satire stuff. Like, he just came out with, for Free Comic Book Day, they took one of his web comics and printed it, Barrier. That was great. We Stand on Guard was like a hilarious little dystopian future where, like, Canada and the U.S. are at war. Like, that was even more enjoyable than this. So that's just where I'm like, if this sounds interesting to you, I would put other things above it, right, which isn't necessarily fair. I'm not really grading the book on its own merits at that point. Well, But what did you like about it? Like, get into, because there is good stuff in here.
I mean, look, I like the characters. I find the characters in this book human, especially the main character. He's not always likable, which I appreciate. He's also, like, you know, kind of left of center, which I appreciate. As a left of center person, when he's like, you know, I might be very liberal on this, but you find I'm very conservative when it comes to crime. I really like that he said that. I like that that there's a lot of tough conversations there. Like the superhero shit is all well and fine, I guess. But I really like the political stuff. And we talked about this, how he tended to put these themes in there as a, almost like, he can get a pat on the back. But I feel like if you're going to do these type of themes, this is the way to do it, as in, like, frame it as, like, in a political context, and, like, this mayor having these questions. Also, I feel like, reading a few things now, he's a lot more, because this is a younger Brian K. Vaughan, he's a lot more raw with his ideas. Like now, you read something like, Runaways, even though that was like a year later, but like Runaways, Saga, where like it can, like, Saga can be really adult, but I feel like it's adult in a way, like, put it this way, right? Like in Saga, the main character, she says, "Come in my twat," which is a very strong thing to say, right? But in here, he just put nigger on Abraham Lincoln, and have two gay dudes call each other faggot, and it's just like, I appreciate those type of things, because, like, I don't think he would do that now in this climate and in this day and age, like 15 years later. But I feel like those things are more true to life, as what he does now, just. But I really do think it's cool. I like the Great Machine suit, just from a superhero standpoint, how awful it looks. So, but yeah, I think this book is really well written. I think the issues that it's dealing with are very true to life. Yeah.
Okay. No, I can agree that there's all of this contemporary argument about, like, I don't want comics that are political. Comics have always been political.
Yes, they have.
They always have, but having your characters be politicians is a really great way to have all of these conversations happen organically. Like, if you're struggling with, like, how do I make my superhero comic political? Well, then make your superhero a politician and let them have all of those conversations outright. And then when people come to that book, they know what they're getting. So, no, I agree. The conversations did feel rather authentic, as opposed to later where they feel kind of slick and polished.
And that's been our complaint, right? That it almost feels like maybe this is a bit manipulative. I can't talk to that, but like maybe it is a bit, but I feel like it's not as egregious as it becomes later with his stuff. Which again, we still like. We're not saying we don't.
Right. I still love it. Like, I'm like, shovel it into my face, like, just, wallpaper my house with Saga. Like, that's fine.
And like,
I'm just aware of what's happening to me while it's going on.
And when he's talking to his deputy mayor about school vouchers and stuff, and like, you show like 7% of African American, you're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting like this type of talk in this comic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really wasn't, and like it really did something for me. Like it really did. Like, I felt like a grown up reading this, and usually I don't feel like that when I read my comic books. I feel like a bit of a grown up. I feel like a big boy.
That's awesome. So now I have to make a depressing comment, which is, aside from the early 2000s setting, how depressing is it that they could literally be having the same conversations today?
God damn it, Amanda. God damn it.
Like, why aren't we having to, like, Wikipedia things that happened almost 20 years ago to understand the context here? Why is it the same damn conversations that they're having?
Well, just on a small tangent, I was just on movies and stuff last week, you know, and we reviewed Confirmation, was about Clarence Thomas and Anita Hill back in '91, right?
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh! Look!
Oh no!
Dan, if nothing else, opportunistic. Hey, Dan,
No,
if you ever
yeah,
so
Dan is the Brian K. Vaughan of movie review shows.
he learned from Abe though. If we're being honest, he learned from Abe. Like,
Yeah.
but no. And the thing about that movie is it also feels exploitative. But here's the thing: it came out 2 years ago, but it feels like some shit HBO threw together in like a month because of what's going on. It really, but like the parallels between what happened with Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh and what's her name? I feel bad now. What's Dr. Ford? Yeah, Dr. Ford. It's scary similar, like super scary similar. And like again, when they made this movie 2 years ago, they wasn't thinking about this shit. But it feel like some shit. It feel like they made this in response to what's happening now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, nothing's changed. All things are terrible all the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to bring that up. It's just like I said, one of the things that is interesting about this was, and it was actually, that's kind of what my husband's comment was. I was planning to read this graphic novel a second time, because it was a pretty good sale at the local comic book store, so I bought like the physical copy of the first volume and brought it home and powered through the whole thing in like one sitting and said I should probably read this again before we talk about it. And I didn't because my husband had it because he wanted to read it. And that was his comment when he finished, was he was like, "Oh wow, the world was so cute 20 years ago."
Look, and I know you say you don't like this book.
Yeah.
But you read it in one sitting, and I read it in two. So like, it's really super fucking readable.
Yeah.
Like it's a page turner. Like it really is a page turner. Like once you start, you feel like you can't stop. There's like this momentum to it, and like it just ramps up and builds. But again, it's not because of the action. It's just because of him just being the mayor. It's really weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just infinitely readable. And like personally for me, I can't really read the second one. I didn't want to read the second one yet, the second volume, until we did the show, because I didn't want to be influenced, by that.
Yeah.
But I actually went back and like bought the other 4 volumes. Like as soon as I got done, I like this book.
Well, and it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking about like, oh, like maybe if the rest of them were on sale, like our store does a great Halloween sale, maybe I'll buy the rest of them then. And I'm like, Amanda, you were just talking about how you didn't like this book.
I think Brian K. Vaughan has your number, Amanda. That's what I think.
He's got most people's numbers. Just like that's, yeah. And I'm just kind of like I said, I'm just kind of oddly fascinated that he can almost dare himself to be like, I'm going to make this not work, and yet it still works. What did I say to you when we were talking about this before, that Brian K. Vaughan made a Robert Johnson style deal with the devil at the crossroads?
Yep, that's
he drove out into the middle of nowhere and met the comic book devil and traded his soul for the ability to write hit after hit.
The comic book devil. You mean Rob Liefeld? No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
No. Who would be the comic book devil? That's an interesting.
Some people would say Stan Lee, and I'll punch him in the mouth because. But no, Bob Kane. Bob Kane would be the comic book devil. If there's a poster board for everything that was wrong with comic books back in the day, it's fucking Bob Kane. Anyway, back to this book. So, You remember, like, as I was reading it, because I started reading it before you, I just sent you the page of like nigger just written on just written on Lincoln. I was just like, Amanda might find this interesting, and I ain't give you no context. Just here, look at this.
Yeah, I am honestly surprised that splash page has not come back in a time where, like, we're digging through people's histories to find things to hold against them. I'm surprised that people aren't like, oh my gosh, you should boycott Saga because this guy once wrote this comic.
But here's the thing, though. I think, like,
you think people are smart enough to, like, appreciate it in context?
I hope so, but then again, maybe not. Because I found out a lot of people that I thought was really super liberal was really for James Gunn getting fired. So I don't know, Amanda. But I would think people are smart enough within the context of the story. And I love within the context of the story, it's like, it was like, was the person black? Like, he asked that question. And the curator danced around it, and he was just like, oh, fuck, they're white.
Yeah.
He's like, she's like, what difference does that make? And he just looks at her. Because, again, that's a real conversation that these two white people are having. Like, bitch, you know the difference. Don't sit here and act stupid.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and act stupid. You know exactly what the difference is. Who did this and why? Which is also kind of meta, since there's a white person that did it, and he's a white person that wrote it to have that. So it's kind of meta in that way, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's that sort of layer on layer that he...
I mean, is there anything, like, it's funny, we've talked about this book, but we've barely touched on any, like, of the superhero stuff, of the superheroics, or anything like that.
Well, I mean, part of that is he wasn't a very good superhero, right?
Right.
He was sort of like the first 20 minutes of the Spider-Man movie where he's still figuring out what to do, and he's still wearing the sweatsuit instead of the cool uniform, and people are like, oh, Spider-Man, you're a menace. And then, after the first 20 minutes of the movie, he finally, like, saves the day in a big heroic way, and then instead of being like, all right, we're going to upgrade the suit, and we're going to have a montage, and then we're going to have a bigger supervillain, he's like, okay, nope, I've had one success, and now I'm just mayor. Yep. I mean, he was planning on being mayor before that, but he wasn't like, okay, now that I've had a taste of being, like, a successful superhero, he's like, no, that's still not the way to do this.
I'm going to parlay this into a political career. Also, I feel like that stuff within the book, believe it or not, is the least interesting things in there, in my opinion.
I mean, I am a little interested in, it seems like the thing that made him a superhero
murders everybody else, apparently, or drives him insane. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit interested in that. But yeah, I don't want to hear about your stupid, it's really, it's not the most interesting thing going on in this story, which is surprising.
And just from the art standpoint, seeing just one tower, then like a light where the other tower should be, is a really evocative like thing to see in this book. Like it really, it stirs something in you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what exactly it stirs, but it's a really evocative image. You know? It's scary, right? Because it almost feels like any second now the other plane is gonna come. I don't know. It's weird, man. It's just weird to see just that one tower stand.
There were a lot of powerful splashes in this book. I think this is one where being able to read it like a physical copy helped a little bit, because you get to see like when you get to that page with the one tower, you turn the page and like suddenly it's there. and like you're not expecting it. And same thing with the painting, like you turn the page and you have no idea what to expect. And then you turn the page and it's like, oh, okay. So I feel like the layouts did a pretty good job of helping the pacing and increasing the tension.
I will say some of the faces are weird. Like, some of the faces have emotions that I'm not for sure that it was trying to convey. Sometimes I don't know, maybe that was just me. But for the most part, I do like the art. But
yeah, I feel like the faces were a little bit, I feel like maybe this is what happens when you, like, reference, like, a photo too closely. Where, like, it's like he was capturing not, like, the essence of an expression. He was capturing, like, 1 second of it exactly.
Right.
So it's like if you look at it really quickly, it looks fine. But if you look at it long enough to read all the stuff next to it, you're like, this looks weird because they're not moving.
So good.
Which is again why I'm like, oh my gosh, have you seen Derek Robertson's art in Transmetropolitan? It is brilliant. Yeah. But not everybody is the best.
I also like to say that this won an Eisner Award, and like it seems Brian K. Vaughan just picked up Eisner Awards like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's old hat to him at this point. Like,
yeah.
Because I think I haven't read a book by him that hasn't won an Eisner Award in some way, whether it be Saga, this. I didn't even know this won an Eisner. Like, I didn't even know that, like, Runaways won an Eisner. It's just like, Brian K. Vaughan, he's a critical darling. Now, whether you agree or not that that's warranted, your mileage may vary.
Well, and it's also, I mean, we run into the same thing with TV and movies where it's like sometimes something that's the critical darling, like, you know, when we watch movies and we come out and we go, well, that was award bait.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's a bad movie and it doesn't mean you don't like it, but you are sitting there going, the target audience for this was definitely the people who make some decisions about what win awards.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's a little bit of like what I've been trying to articulate about his like the market research part of it is that, you know, maybe at the bottom of every page, a lot of them, but there is a limit, there is a finite number.
Exactly. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
I mean, just maybe like a final comment. Like, would you? It sounds like you would obviously recommend this book.
Yeah, it's a hard recommend for me.
All right. Any caveats on that? Any like particular audience or like, I don't know, just for general human consumption?
I would say, I think this is good for everybody. I think if you never read a comic, you could probably give this to somebody. You know, as hey, you want to read a good comic? I mean, there's a lot of good comics, but like, you want to read a good comics that's not necessarily silly superheroes. Here, read this. Mm-hmm. Also, I feel like if you read a lot of superhero comics, you might like to change the pace. So yeah, mm-hmm. I think this one might be for everybody. In my opinion.
What would you do? You have an estimate on lower age limit? Because I feel like this is one where if you're too young to read it, you would just think it was boring.
What, about 12 or 13? Isn't that the time, by 13, isn't that the time you usually start becoming pretentious in your taste?
That's true. This would perfectly fall into the rebellious, like, you know, I'm going to be a cool teenager thing.
This, like, 13 is like when you read, like Catcher in the Rye and shit, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those books. Like,
right, and it's also when you start listening to older music and you're like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so cool. I listen to older music and I read older comic books that are political.
And people just roll their eyes and want to punch you in the face.
Oh man, that's hitting pretty close to home. And then you also wear like that one gray hoodie everywhere. Oh my gosh, Jamil, stop making fun of me.
Well, you. I thought I was talking about myself.
Talking about all of us.
Okay. I think we're done.
I think we're done too.
Yep.
This is the closest we're getting closer to disagreeing. Maybe, have you got a pick for our next book?
So yeah. So in a couple of weeks, Daredevil come out, and it's supposed to be heavily based on the Frank Miller's Born Again storyline. So that's what we're reading. So in a couple of weeks, we are reading Frank Miller classic story, Born Again.
Sounds good.
Yep. Now, Amanda, where could they find us if anybody have any comments?
We are on Twitter as Comic Book Club 52, like the new 52 or the number of weeks in a year. They could also email us, comicbookclub52@gmail. And you have us on Facebook as The Comic Book Club.
That's right. And look, hey, I just want to say, I have the analytics for this show, and I know this for a fact. Whoever listens to our show in New Zealand, because I know for a fact that you download every episode we have.
Wow.
Please write in. Please, I have to know who you are. I have to talk to you. I have to know that it's like an actual person and not like some robot, like downloading it in downloading.
I would also, if you're a robot downloading it, I would also be interested in that.
Look, I probably just freaked them out, and they're probably gonna stop listening after this. Please don't. I don't know who you are. I don't have those type of analytics.
No. Just download more so that we don't think it's just one person and then we can't find you.
We just like to hear from you. You have a Twitter. Reach out to us. You have our email. Please, I have to know who this person is, because like right now it's our only listener that's outside the country on a regular basis. So like from the lands of Lord of the Rings, please contact us, because that's all I know about New Zealand is that it's Middle Earth. That's all I know. So with that, we are leaving. I am Jamil Payne.
I'm Amanda Comey.
And we are out.